Hi, and welcome to Books in Action. This is Larry Petraccaro, and I have with me as my guest tonight Sarah Lester. Sarah is the director of the Maplewood Public Library, and in addition, she's also the originator of the Maplewood Ideas Festival. So tonight we want to talk a little bit about the Maplewood Ideas Festival, and if we have time, I'd like to talk to Sarah about the expansion that's going on at the library, so we can make sure we can find our way around. So Sarah, thank you for joining us.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, Larry. It's nice to be back.
Yeah, it is, in person, as
Yes.
it turns out. What number of festivals is this? It's been a few, I know.
So we started in 2013, but this will be our 8th festival. We did not have a festival last year during the pandemic. So, but we're very excited to be back, and really looking forward to it.
Now, the 2020 festival, which was the one prior to this
Correct.
coming one, that was done Zoom, wasn't it? Or was
Right, because what happened was we were all set to go. Barry Sonnenfeld was going to be coming to the Maplewood Library on, I forget, March 10th or something, and we had to make a call and we shut everything down. So we canceled the festival. We got through the spring, which was pretty terrible for everybody, and then we decided to do the festival via Zoom in the fall. And because we made that decision, it was very hard to then do something quickly, do a quick turnaround for the spring of 2021.
2021.
So we decided to wait and wait till we could do it, safely in person.
Well, I remember attending, I think, almost all the events on the Zoom festival.
Uh-huh.
I know a couple of, the one that would be the musical presentation, the program that was going to take place at the library, I think that one had to be canceled.
Correct, yes.
There really wasn't much you could do in person.
Right.
And you said Barry Sonnenfeld, likewise. He was the director of Men in Black, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. Here he is, yeah.
Here he is. Okay, I guess that doesn't change. Yeah. So did you learn anything from having to do it on Zoom that's useful for what we're going to be doing?
I think definitely. I think we all have. We really did expand our audiences in a wonderful way. So we reached, I think, definitely a national audience, and I think we had some international participants as well. So it was very interesting. We also heard from some seniors that said that they really appreciated it. So people that weren't able to come out at night to some of our events could do so from the comfort of their homes. And so this year we're planning to do a hybrid. So we will be in person the last 2 weeks of April. And so we have 7 events that will be in person, and then we have 1 virtual event. But we are planning to also film the events so that they will be accessible.
So they'll be accessible for the international audience.
Correct. For everybody who's clued in to what's happening in Maplewood.
So what's the one that's going to be Zoom, and why did you pick that?
So let me start. So for people who don't know, the Ideas Festival celebrates the talent and creativity in Maplewood and our surrounding area. Okay. So we've had some incredibly talented and interesting people over the past 9 years, and this year. I just wanted to mention that we always have a literary award, and this year the Maplewood Literary Award is going to Ibby Zaboy. And Ibby is a Maplewood resident, and she is a best-selling author and a National Book Award nominee who writes books for children and teens. And her most recent book is a biography of Octavia Butler, and it's called Star Child. And she is absolutely fantastic. So we're really excited to be honoring her this year. She will be in person. Our one virtual event is Food 52's Emma LaPeroux, and she also lives in Maplewood, and she is a food editor for Food 52, which has become incredibly popular. She has a new cookbook out, and just because of the timing and what she's able to do, that is a virtual event. She'll be in conversation with Hank Zona. But the rest of the events are in person. We're going to have a theater panel about managing creativity during the pandemic, and that so far we have Sandy Rustin, Becky Goolsvig, and Sarah Farrington on that panel. And we have Tim Wang, also a Maplewood resident, and he's a technologist, really, really interesting. person. Christina Swarns, who's the executive director of the Innocence Project, will be with us, and
Okay.
and then Nancy Solomon from WNYC will be receiving the Carol Buchanan Award, and she will be in conversation with Deborah Goldstein. So, and then I have one more, and then we can go into you can ask me more questions.
Okay.
And then the last event we have Dr. Joshua Sharfstein, who will be coming in from Baltimore, and he is the director of the Bloomberg Health Initiative and the vice dean for public health practice and community engagement at Johns Hopkins. The reason why we have him is Emily Witkowski, who is our teen librarian, was also a Bloomberg Fellow, and she just recently received her Master's of Public Health from Johns Hopkins, and she is the first librarian to receive that from that program. So we're really excited, and Dr. Sharfstein is amazing. He's a national expert. You've probably heard him on NPR or on TV talking about COVID. So we're really excited to have him in conversation with Emily Witkowski.
So Emily's going to do the conversation.
She
with him.
is,
That's
because
great.
she knows him. You know,
Yeah.
she and Emily's focus was teens at risk, and she's been working. You know, she works with teens in our community, and she's been doing that for years. But now she has a real public health background to inform some of the programming and ideas and collections that we have in Maplewood.
Well, that's interesting. That's another time we can chat about that. But it's going back, maybe we can get into a little more detail. With you said Ibby's a boy?
Yes.
Now, I think she is, as you said, a children's. Is that how she started?
Children's and
Was
teens,
children
right.
And teens. But the book that she wrote, the biography of Octavia Butler, is that also generated, developed, what's the right word, focused for teens? Or
It
for
is.
okay.
And I think it's middle grade and teens, and it's a book in verse. So
Really?
it's really beautifully done. And so I think it's just fantastic, and a way to bring, just the imagination and bring someone's life to life in a really beautiful, poetic way.
And Octavia, what was Octavia Butler's?
She's a science fiction writer.
Oh, yes. I should know that. I
Yeah.
like science fiction. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite genres. But what got Ibby Zaboy interested in Octavia
I think
Butler?
you're going to have to come to the Ideas Festival, Larry, because
Well, I'm planning to.
I don't know the answer to that question.
I'm planning to
So,
come to the Ideas
so I can't delve deeper right now, but we will at the end of April when we have her at the Woodland.
We'll have to ask.
Yes.
And who was some of the other ones?
So, and then we have Christina Swarns, who's the executive director of the Innocence Project.
Now, the Innocence Project, is that, I've heard of something I think called the Innocence Project. Is that where they try to overturn what
Yes, so they work to free the innocent and prevent wrongful convictions and create a fair, compassionate, and equitable systems of justice for everyone. So yes.
Okay.
So, and she's incredibly, she's got an incredible background and is doing such great work, across the country. And I think that's where, when we realized just how impactful so many citizens are in Maplewood, that's why we started the Ideas Festival. But when you know that someone like Christina Swarns is living in Maplewood, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, and it's certainly everything she's doing is worthwhile. I mean,
Yes.
I think that constantly overturning some of
These
these
wrustful convictions.
Wrongful convictions, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's worthwhile.
And I think creating, a justful world going forward. So really putting those systems in place so that this doesn't happen going
Oh,
forward.
yeah, I mean, that's certainly
Right.
worthwhile. And is that also part of what she does in the Innocence Project?
Yeah, I think, and again, I don't want to speak for her, so we're
Okay,
going to
fair
wait to,
enough.
yes.
Fair enough,
Yes.
I understand.
Yep.
And you mentioned someone in Food 52.
Yes, so that is Emma LaPeroux, and she is a food editor at Food 52, so you'll have to go to food52.com,
Okay,
and you
that's-
can check it out, but they put out a lot of cookbooks that are very, very popular. And she's an award-winning columnist for Big Little Recipes, and she'll be in conversation with Hank Zona, who's the founder of the Grapes Unwrapped. I'm not sure if you've had Hank
No,
on your
I-
show.
we haven't.
So he talks about wine, and he writes about wine. And he recently wrote the Edible Jersey feature on Emma, so you can look that up as well.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to look.
And we have a lot of foodies in Maplewood, so we know that she's going to have a big following, and is very interesting.
That'd be nice.
Yes.
And then you said you're going to have a panel.
Yes. So right now that panel is getting put. We're two months out, so that panel is still getting put together. Sandy Rustin, who's a playwright and also an actor, and she currently has she's got the production of Clue going on in Milburn at the.
Okay, yeah,
yes.
I think I've heard about that.
And Becky Gulsvig is an actor, and then Sarah Farrington is also a playwright. And what we really wanted to talk about is, we have so many actors, so many people in the theater community in Maplewood and South Orange, and how have they gotten through this really terrible time? I mean, this has been, during COVID, with all the shutdowns, has been tremendously hard for our theater community. And so we want to talk about the creativity and the resiliency of all of our creative theater people.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you're right. There have been a few. You see them going on the train into the city, right?
Yeah. Now I think things are looking a little bit more hopeful. And yes.
Yeah. Well, one thing is certainly see more cars there.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So the it's going to be the last part of April. The last.
Yes. So we have it. It's going to be from April 18th through 27th, and as I said, 7 of the events will be at the Woodland. The last person I mentioned is Tim Wang, who is he is a writer and researcher and the author of The Subprime Attention Crisis, which is a book about the online advertising bubble. And I can't even explain this because it's sort of beyond me. But Tim really talks, in a really, really interesting way about how advertising is done online and how just how invasive it really is, and just the way it's done. He was at MIT, in research at MIT and at Harvard, and I can't speak for all of his great qualities, but he's received grants from the Knight Foundation and I believe also the MacArthur Foundation, and is really someone that he knows a lot about technology and writes about it and speaks about it in a really in just a really, really interesting way.
Well, that actually I think is one of the more important things that can come across, because it's so difficult to. I've found it in the past. It's difficult to get people who know something well to explain it for people who don't know it well.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is where libraries come into play, right?
Yes.
And then you said Nancy Solomon. I know I listened to her on NPR quite a bit. So.
Yeah. So Nancy Solomon is the senior reporter and the founding managing editor of New Jersey Public Radio. You also hear her on WNYC all the time.
Yeah.
And she's a huge. Nancy has done so much programming for us at the library, and we're really excited to honor her with the Carol Buchanan Award. Carol Buchanan was a longtime Maplewood resident and a longtime trustee of the Maplewood Library, and an incredible woman. So this is we're really looking forward to this. And she'll be in conversation with Deborah Goldstein, who is the producer for The Takeaway on WNYC, and also the executive producer and host of Gen Z media game show podcast, The Big Fib. And she's just a very funny person. So
well, certainly got plenty of talent there.
Yes.
That's going to be honored, which is wonderful. So they can people find information at the library website?
Yes, so they can go to maplewoodlibrary.org, and we'll be putting out the press release regarding, you're hearing it first, Larry.
Oh, thank you.
Press release has not even gone out. So the press release will go out next week.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to take a break. And when we come back, let's talk a little bit about the library expansion, if we may.
Yes.
Okay. So if you'll stay with us, I'll be back with Sarah Lester in a minute.
It's an onion.
Hi, and welcome back to Books in Action. This is Larry Petraccaro with Sarah Lester. And we spent the first half of the show talking about the Maplewood Ideas Festival, the 2022 Maplewood Ideas Festival, which will be coming up in April. And it's going to be live and in person at the Woodlands, you said. And I know I said I was going to talk about the new library expansion, which we will, but I forgot to ask a very important question. How will we get access to get into the Woodlands?
So you'll have to check back with our website. So we follow the township guidelines. And right now, you have to show proof of vaccination at township buildings. And there are capacity limits. So we will be doing registration online if that is still true, and you will have to show proof of vaccination. But we will keep everybody posted. Once the events are on our website, we'll explain exactly how to get into the events.
Okay.
And as usual, the events are all free to the public.
Okay, you heard it here. So maplewoodlibrary.org for more information as we get closer to the time. I'm looking forward to it and hope I hope you let me in because I plan to be
I think
there.
we're going to let you in, Larry.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'd like to talk a little bit about the library expansion, but before we talk about that, I think there was some extensive damage to the main library. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
So we've been planning a major renovation of the main library to really build a 21st century library in Maplewood for several years now. We received state funding. We received a very large state grant to do so. A construction grant that was close to $8.4 million. The township bonded for $12 million, and the Maplewood Library Foundation has now raised $1.5 million and is going towards their $2 million fundraising goal to really build this library. So we were all on track, and then September 1st, Ida hit Maplewood very hard and the library incredibly hard. So we had been planning to move out on, I believe, September 17th into our temporary locations. But on September 1st, we had 6 to 8 feet of water in the lower level of the library. I mean, it was devastating. So, thankfully, all of the books, most of the books were on the upper level. But we did lose some historical materials, a lot of furniture, and everything that was downstairs. So where we used to hold our Maplewood Ideas Festival events down in Memorial Hall, I mean, that was just picture that. That was under 6 feet of water. Oh. I mean, and this had never happened. That library was built in 1955. This is the first time this has happened.
Really?
Yes.
Any speculation as to why, or any?
I think this was, storms like this, and I think we don't know why, but we do know what it did allow us to do. We have these incredible plans for and working with really great architects, Sage and Coombe Architects out of New York. They had planned already in the plans up to September 1st had really taken into account that we were close to a floodplain, which is in Memorial Park. Mm-hmm. But they had done waterproofing up to 3 feet. So what we had to do is they went back. We met with the architects, the engineers, like township officials, the fire department. Everybody in town to really think about this and how to make some changes so that we could build this resilient and sustainable library. And they went back to the drawing board and really came up with a plan that's even better than ever before. And all of our mechanicals and electrical and everything having to do with technology is now out of the basement level. They've done even more waterproofing for the building, and it's going to be a fantastic library.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic library.
Yes. So I think the storm was devastating, but it came at the right time so that we could make the changes necessary to make sure our future generations in Maplewood really have access to this incredible library for years to come.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking too. If it had to happen, it was better it happened
Absolutely.
before than after you got started.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about the physical layout. Is it going to take the same floor space, or are you going to expand horizontally?
So the actual floor, the actual footprint of the library remains the same, but we're going up. So we're adding a second floor onto the library. which is going to be absolutely stunning because, as you know, we sit on a historic park, on Maplewood Memorial Park, and it's so it will really, the back of the library will open up into the park. We're also moving back to our original entry, which was in 1955. The entry was, if you know the Maplewood Library, the original entrance was to the left, was a little further to the left. And we're putting that entrance back, and what that does is it allows us to go straight through the library, and so there'll be another entrance to Memorial Park. So there'll be two ways of entering the library. The front entrance will be at grade. Everybody will walk through into the library the same way, so there won't be a need for an ADA accessible ramp. And then from the back, we'll have a new entrance. So that's going to be incredible. As you know, right now, the current design is really a brick wall. A brick wall, even from the front. You cannot see the park.
Yeah. From
Baker Street, and if you're behind it, you have no idea what's on the other side of it. And now that will all open up. We have incredible space for collections. Our community room, where Future Ideas Festival events will be held, will no longer be in that basement. They will be on the main floor. I will never forget, because I think it was in 2015, I walked Meryl Streep down into that basement. She attended an Ideas Festival event, and I'm thinking, what are we doing here? Why are we having events like this in a basement? So it will be, our community space is going to be incredible on the main floor, and then we'll also have a really great local history room, which will be upstairs. We'll have collaboration spaces, small meeting spaces, an amazing children's room with a programming space attached to that. Our children's programming and our children's collections are known statewide, and they will be even better with this space. And then the teens, this is the thing that I think is the most magnificent, is the teens really have the best space in the library. So they will be upstairs, kind of in a corner. So the views that the teens have, going out into the park, and then also onto Baker Street, I think it's just providing an inspiring space for our future. And I think that's really exciting.
Well, this teen area you're talking about, will that be where like a teen collection of books, or will
both?
It be, where they can work?
So we'll have workspaces, we'll have quiet rooms in that space, and then during the times of day when teens aren't in, we know that teens are there every day after school, after 3:00. Everybody will be able to use that space. But the adult reading area will be kind of on the other side of the upstairs area, and that will be also equally beautiful. So we're really excited about the spaces. And we are working on, this will be a very sustainable building. It's designed as an all-electric building, so we will no longer need to rely on fossil fuels. Mm-hmm. And we're going towards, we know we have at least a silver certification for LEED certification, and we're heading towards gold. So we'll know for sure where we land very soon. We have photovoltaics on the roof of the library. So this really will be a model, for our community, but also for the whole, state of New Jersey, really. Yeah,
this is the way to start, something people can imitate.
Yeah.
The second floor, will the stacks be on both floors, or
so all of the stacks will be on the second floor. The main floor will have the children's room and all of the new materials. Mm-hmm. So you'll go in and just imagine you're going into, where the checkout desk is. That's where all of our new books will be, right on the first floor with some reading areas. But the stacks, the nonfiction stacks and the fiction stacks will be on the second floor.
And will you be able to expand the number of books in the collection, or are you going to dedicate certain spaces to certain types of?
So I think the book collection is staying about the same.
About the same?
Because what we found is people, and when we did our focus groups, it was the spaces that people really needed. We didn't have the proper workspaces. We didn't, never mind, we didn't have outlets. We had one outlet in our whole adult area. So everything will be wired for technology and Wi-Fi. And so people need space to work together and also to work by themselves. So that's really what we're adding.
What about the Hilton Library? Will that stay as
The Hilton Library is a vibrant library and is well used and well loved by our community, and that will stay. So right now, that has been transformed while we're under construction. That has been transformed into a library for children and teens only,
Okay.
which is working really well. And then we have an interim space for adult services near the Maplewood pool at 129 Boyden. And that's a very small space right now. So we do know that we can't do the amount of programming that we did in the past. And due to the pandemic, much of our programming, almost all of our programming is via has been virtual. So people can still access all of that, but we haven't been doing in-person events until coming up. Yeah, so that's exciting.
Will the facility on Boyden remain with the library, or will that
No,
just temporarily
so that will go back. That is the Office of Emergency Management for
Yes,
the township,
yes.
so that will go back to that.
Okay. But so will you leave the Hilton as a children's library? do you
No,
think?
I think that's, the plan is to bring it back
Bring it
to a library similar to how it was, but we're open to, we'll see how this goes, and we're open to suggestions, but we know that the Hilton Library, loves and deserves that library.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually the first library I went to when we
Yeah.
moved to Maplewood, was that one. Are you anticipating any new programs? I know some of the things that I know you do, we used to do English language learning, I think. You
Right.
used to do a variety of programs. Do you anticipate expanding that, or just trying to just restore what we used to do?
So I think it's one of the things that I didn't mention before that we're adding at the main library is a makerspace. So we know that we'll be doing more programming in the makerspace. But we're open, and with beautiful spaces. The other space I didn't mention is we have a forum space, which is like a stadium seating inside the building. So
neat.
that will be a great space for music events, for poetry, for just live performances. So we're looking forward to that.
Well, we're just about out of time, as it turns out, but when do you anticipate this will be ready? I know that's always a difficult thing to predict, but what's your
So the
hope?
plan is that we're going out to bid for general contractor next month, and so that's in March. And so we plan to have the groundbreaking early summer.
Okay.
And it's an 18-month
18?
to 24-month construction period.
Okay, so that sounds reasonable.
Yes.
Or maybe unreasonable for you, but
Yeah.
probably reasonable for construction. So, well, it sounds exciting. I'm looking forward to getting there. So, Sarah, thank you. And thank you for joining us on Books in Action.